During the Viking Age, there were many Viking kings of England, but there was one in particular who is considered probably the most successful Viking king of England, Cnut the Great. I do really have to be careful with how I pronounce that because it could get me into a lot of trouble. His full title was King of all of England and Denmark and the Norwegians and part of some of the Swedes. The last part is sort of a bit of a letdown considering why can't he just take all of Sweden? Like, is he just not good enough for that? Clearly he can't be the Great if he can't take all of Sweden, he's just got part of it. I mean, what's the point? Cnut was the grandson of Harald Bluetooth, who, fun fact, is the reason we all know the Bluetooth we have in nowadays. Anyway, that's got nothing to do with Cnut, but you know, it's an interesting story, I think. Mr. Bluetooth's son, however, Sven Forkbeard, clearly was a bit jealous of Harald Bluetooth's new title, and so instead revolted against him and forced him into exile. I guess this Bluetooth connection just wasn't strong enough, eh? Hey? God, what a zing. Next to nothing is known about Cnut's life up until he joined his father in a conquest of England in 1013. Some believe this was in response to the St. Brice's Day massacre, however others think it was primarily just about money. Why have I got my headset on? I've just realised I'm not supposed to have my headset on. Why is it on? I'm not redoing the rest of it, I'm just going to take it off and we'll carry on like nothing's happened. Sven Forkbeard forced Ethelred the Unready, the current king of England, to retreat to Normandy with his sons, and therefore became king himself in the late months of 1013. However, this didn't last very long, as in February of 1014, he died. As a result, Cnut's brother Harald II became king of Denmark. Meanwhile, Cnut was busy being pushed out of England by Ethelred, who returned to England from Normandy with a big old army. However, whilst being pushed out of England, Cnut mutilated any hostages he had and left their bodies on the shore. Now, if you ask me, that just sounds like a big sore loser on overdrive. Such a sore loser, in fact, that Cnut began to prepare to re-invade England. He built an army with the support of his brother Harald II, as well as Bolslaw the Brave, and he also allied with some leaders across England. However, I'm not going to tell you who they are just yet, you'll have to find that out further in the video. Now that is what you call audience retention. Anyway, now he has his army. In 1015, Cnut set sail for England with 10,000 men in 200 longships. You know, the cool Viking longships with the shields on the side and the horses or dragon's head on the front. It's probably not a horse, that's not a very threatening animal to have on the front of a boat, but... A passage from a historical text that I'm not even going to begin to pronounce, but I will pop up on screen so you can see it. Probably not here because that'll be over my face, but maybe down here, maybe up there, maybe over there, maybe over there. Who knows? It will be somewhere on the screen, but you know, maybe it'll be all the places. Maybe I'll just edit it so every time I point somewhere different, it's going to be here and here and here. Anyway, it explains that Cnut's army wielded various types of shield, which may not sound that important, interesting or significant, but it is. Warriors from the same country would often wield the same shape and colour shield, as to show they're on the same team when they're in close quarters fights. And so seeing an army with various forms of shield displays to an enemy that they have made an alliance with various countries. Having various types of shields though does beg the question, how much friendly fire occurred during these battles? I mean, you're in such close quarters, just swinging your sword left and right trying not to die or get cut yourself. But who has time to look at someone's shield and think, oh, he's got the same colour shield as me, that means he's on my team. Or even, oh, he's got the same colour shield as an ally to me, so I'm not going to kill him. You're not going to think about it, you're just going to go whoosh, 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 kill them all, whoosh, 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 whoosh. Anyway, enough of that madness, let's go back to Cnut, the actual topic of this video. Cnut took Wessex in 1015, at which point Adric Streona, Ealdorman of Mercia, left Ethelred and joined forces with Cnut. And I gotta say, that's poor form from Adric. It's really Gregory from The Walking Dead behaviour, if you ask me. Cnut followed this up by taking Northumbria in 1016, and he even went as far as sending some Donny called Thurban the Hold to massacre Uhtred, the Ealdorman of Northumbria, as well as his band of merry men. Next came London. However, during this siege, on the 23rd of April 1016, Ethelred the Unready died, and so Edmund Ironside, Ethelred's son, took command. Edmund managed to escape London during the siege, and he fled to raise an army that would fight back against Cnut and retake London. However, Cnut was a little crafty bugger, and had managed to intercept Edmund in Ashington, Essex. On the 18th of October 1016, Edmund and Cnut once again went head to head in the Battle of Assendon. I should really start calling him Edmund Houdini at this point, as once again, Edmund fled the battle. As a result of this battle, Houdini and Cnut agreed to a treaty that would split England between the two. If you ask me, Edmund's lucky to have anything at all after his performance. It's barely a 1.5 match rating if you ask me. Cnut and the Danes were given anything north of the Thames. However, within the treaty it was also agreed that should one of them die, the other will become king of all of England. Now that just to me sounds like you're asking to be assassinated.
By sheer coincidence.
Edmund died of an unknown cause. And of course, as a result, Cnut became king of England, king of all of England in 1017. Cnut is considered an incredibly successful king of England. However, this may have been slightly altered by the fact that by his good treatment of the church, who were the people who kept historical records during this time. Becoming king, of course, has its perks, as you'd expect. One of which, for Cnut, was that in 1017 he married Emma of Normandy, which, as a standalone sentence, might not sound that important, interesting, it's just a nothing sentence. But in reality, there's a lot of drama and gossip that comes with this. Not only was Cnut already married to Elgifu of Northampton, but Emma of Normandy was the widow of Ethelred the Unready. That's just mad, if you think about it. That's EastEnders kind of. Imagine being around when the widow of your previous king marries the next king. Cnut split England into 4 province-type thingies and named new earls for each. Wessex was under the control of Cnut himself. Northumbria was under the control of Eric Hlathir, East Anglia went to Thorkel the Tall, and Mercia stayed under control of Adric Streona. However, peace in England didn't last too long, as in 1017, on Christmas Day, Adric Streona was executed. But is that really a shock? I mean, he was on Ethelred the Unready's side initially, then fled to Cnut's side, and then he went back to Ethelred's side, and then he went back to Cnut's side after the Battle of Assendon. So, I mean, he's changing sides more times than the Transformers have changed their cast. I mean, seriously, they've had 6 films, not including Bumblebee, and only 2 Transformers have been the same in each film. That is ridiculous. How many Transformers have there been in total? Look, there's this many Transformers in total, and only 2 of them have stayed in the same film. They stayed in every film. That's ridiculous. What is that? Okay, anyway, nothing gets me more invested than the bloody Transformers franchise, I'll tell you that much. Anyway, let's get back to the matter at hand between Adric and Cnut. It's believed that just before Adric was beheaded, Cnut stood in front of him and said, "Pay this man what we owe him," and then chopped his head off. Well, Cnut didn't, he got someone else to do it. But while Cnut was now King of England, Harold II was still King of Denmark. Until he died in 1018, and then Cnut was now also King of Denmark. Not the most interesting story of how he became King of Denmark, but, you know, a story nonetheless, I suppose. So Cnut was now King of all of England and Denmark. So we're halfway there. Over the next few years, an alliance was being built between Norway and Sweden, which was a threat to Cnut and his arm. Over the next few years, an alliance was being built between Norway and Sweden, which was a threat to Cnut as he was leading from England, which was separated from Denmark by no less than a ton of water. And not only that, during this time, Sweden and Denmark were actually had a land border, which of course is an even bigger threat if Sweden was to attack Denmark. The Norwegian and Swedish kings decided to take advantage of this in 1026 and launched an attack that is now known as the Battle of Helge. As Cnut spent a lot of time in England, it was Ulf Jarl who was in command of Denmark, as well as in charge of protecting Cnut's son, Harthacnut. However, during the Battle of Helge, Ulf Jarl gave the Danish freemen reason to name Harthacnut as king, and I believe this was a protection tactic for Ulf himself to ensure that he doesn't get executed in case they lost the Battle of Helge. It's a bit of a dick move considering that Harthacnut was still literally a child. But when Cnut heard this news, he set sail for Denmark and led his army to victory. But that wasn't the end of the story between Ulf and Cnut. During a game of chess, a massive argument broke out, and the following day, which was New Year's Eve, one of Cnut's housecarls killed Ulf. Why Cnut just didn't do it himself, I don't know. I mean, he's king. He's got basically free range to do anything he wants, and he just sends someone else to do his dirty work. If you ask me, that's Cnut the Lazy, not Cnut the Great. After the Battle of Helge, Cnut heard discontent between some Norwegians and started bribing them with silver and gold. And a year later, in 1028, Cnut set sail for Trondheim, Norway, and due to the bribes, King Olaf Haraldsson, the leader of Norway and part of Sweden, wasn't even able to put up a fight. People's morals have always been up for sale, that's for sure. And as a result, Cnut was now king of all of England and Denmark and the Norwegians and part of some of the Swedes. Cnut still seemed to favour England though, as that's where he spent most of his time, and so attempted to rule Norway through his first wife Ealhsdhfu and their son Svein, which ended in heavy taxation, rebellion, and the return of the Norwegian dynasty under Magnus I. So not quite as successful as how it went in England and Denmark, but you know, if I was known as someone's first wife, I probably wouldn't really put too much effort in commanding their lands, to be honest. Cnut was able to hold his title up until he died in 1035. How he died is a mystery, it seems, as I couldn't find an answer to that. The only thing I could find an answer to is when he died, and also apparently it was in Shaftesbury, Dorset. As king, Cnut united Saxons and Danes, and displayed dominance over Scandinavia throughout his reign, providing the English people with peace and prosperity that they haven't experienced for 20 years. I don't know why we don't learn about Cnut growing up. I believe that the person who gave peace and prosperity for people who had only experienced raids for 20 years should be talked about at least a little bit. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video and you took something from it, as I said before. And I don't know how to sign this off, so see ya.